What's going on, Facebook? Facebook. Let's see here real quick. If you hop on, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a like. Tell me you're out there. Let's see. Share this out a couple places. Make sure we got it. We got something. So I won't take too long. If Dave Carroll hops on, we'll add him. He might be busy. You never know. Probably is busy. Anyway, full disclosure, we only do websites for clients, so I'm not trying to sell websites, and I don't sell signs. If you need yard signs, go to Dave Carroll. If you just need a website, go find somebody that does WordPress websites. WordPress. Don't do Wix. Don't do the Webbit crap. Get a WordPress website. All right? So let me answer these questions real quick because I see these questions a lot in groups, and I want to explain why this is important. If you're new in business or if you're newer in business and you don't have a website or you're looking to change websites or you built your own website on like a GoDaddy builder or something like that, let's talk through this real quick. So yard signs and websites. Let's do yard signs first. And I think 2017 we probably put out 4,000 yard signs. That probably wasn't even our biggest year. Like our biggest year was 2016. And the design of the yard sign was the same. Service, big, and phone number, big. Didn't have a logo, didn't have a company name, none of that crap. Two-sided, stakes, 18 by 24. Like, that simple, right? Two-sided. Now, Dave does a full-color sign, and he does them for the same price that you can kind of get, two-color, one-color. Like, you need to look at, first of all, you need to look at his stuff because he's going to be able to not only provide customer service and get you what you're looking for versus all these online companies, and he's going to do it. I mean, if you compare the pricing, it's pretty much the same price. And with him, he knows the exterior cleaning business. If you're in exterior cleaning, and he knows most home service business too, but he knows that one really well, get your signs from him, right? But you need to keep it simple. Like, we like to use the words like house washing and soft washing. That's beautiful. It's great. But those keywords aren't searched. And what that tell on Google very often, like they have low volume search volume. So what that tells you is they're searching something else. What are they searching? Pressure washing. So that's what it needs to say. It needs to say pressure washing, or it needs to say gutter cleaning, or it needs to say roof cleaning. Like, use those things on your sign. Make them really freaking big, like enormous, annoyingly big. And then put your phone number on it. Annoyingly big. Like bold, bright, contrasting. Make it big. Make it to where if I'm 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet away, I can see it. Maybe take a picture of it with my phone, capture it so I can call you. All right? So, service only, phone number only. No company name, website, logo, brand, none of that garbage. Like, you're trying to create phone calls. If you're putting out 50 signs a week and you're not getting 8 to 10 calls, one of two things. One, your sign is garbage, or two, you're putting it in the wrong place. So, sign is garbage. How do you know if your sign's garbage? Well, if you aren't getting calls, your sign's probably garbage. It looks so good, Gary. It might look good, but can somebody see it from far away? All right, that's what you got to think about. Two, where are you putting it? How do you know if your sign is being successful? Look, if you got some money, get a tracking number. Put a tracking number on signs. Like, do campaigns, north, south, east, west, and have a phone number for each group of signs. So you know, like, these signs, north signs are really kicking butt. South signs don't. East signs do. West signs are okay. Like, use tracking numbers that it will tell you, and you'll be able to understand, like, if they're good or not. So who should be putting out signs? Anybody that, for pressure washing, anybody that does pressure washing, you should be putting out signs weekly. Yeah, but I'm so busy with other stuff. Good. Grow your business. Like, keep putting out signs. For sure, you should put a sign at every customer and tell them, like, let me leave it up for so long. Like, we used to put it in our, when we scheduled a job, hey, we're going to be leaving a sign in your yard. If you would, please leave it there for 3 to 5 days. If you can't, we totally understand, but leave the sign. I didn't go back and get signs. I didn't care. We were focused on doing the next customer. I wasn't focused on trying to go back and get $1 or save $4 by going back and getting a sign. Like that. That's tripping over dollars to make pennies. It's just stupid. Or I said that exactly opposite. That's tripping over pennies to make dollars. Like you're not focused on what the real, true issue is, which is getting revenue. So don't worry about the sign anywhere. Like if you're worried about a sign, don't put out signs. Like get out of business if you're worried about signs. Go do something else. So who should be putting out signs? Everybody on a weekly basis. How many? 50. You should be putting out 50 freaking signs a week minimum. I was joking around with Dave Carroll the other day. I was like, I'm telling these guys put out 50. He's like, 50? Put out, or 50 a week? I put out 50 a day. I'm like, okay, you got a point. You got a point. Like, he is right. But 50 a week is what you should be doing. It's about an $800 to $1,000 a month budget and sign. Oh my God, like I just made guys throw up, right? That's great. But if you're putting that out, like you should, I saw some guy say, I made 10 times my money back. I mean, you should make 20 times, 25 times your money back if your sign looks right and you're putting it in the right place. Where should you put signs? Where should you buy signs? Blah, 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 blah. Buy signs from Dave, number one. Where should you put them? You should put them where population goes. I put out my signs on Friday nights and Saturday mornings. Why? Because the code enforcement, FBI, DEA, CSI, like, they're not going to be working typically on the weekend. If they are, if Marnie Fife's out taking your sign, good for him. But I'm putting them out Friday night, Saturday morning, and I'm putting them at places like Costco, Lowe's, Home Depot, large churches, on and on and on, where people go that are potentially homeowners. Like, that's what I care about. So I'm putting them in those areas, off the exit, getting on, stopping at stoplights, all those places where there's going to be traffic stopped or traffic going, my sign goes. But Gary, I don't want to go to jail. I'm pretty sure no one is serving a jail sentence for putting signs out. Could you get fined? Sure. If you're not getting called by a government official, you're not putting enough signs out. I don't care what your laws are. Those laws exist in every state in the country. They just do, right? So if you want to bitch and moan and say, I can't do that, then you just don't want to be successful. That's what that comes down to. So I'm not here to debate that. Like, put freaking signs out. If you want to put money on your table, 50 signs a week, and you'll make money. Where should you put them? Where population centers are, where people are. Friday night, Saturday. I used to put out anywhere from 40 to 50 signs Friday night, Saturday, and then that Saturday I would get 9 to 10 calls. Like, that's what I would get. When should you start using yard signs? And I'm going to come back and do the same thing with websites. When should you start using yard signs? You should start using yard signs the day you decide to go into business. You should. You should be putting out signs all the time, consistently, constantly putting out signs. You have to. If you don't, somebody else will. Like right now in our market, in my market, there's some weak ass companies out there not putting signs. Like, I'll get off of exits, there isn't a sign. I'll be by population centers, there isn't a sign. Like, I've seen probably 3 pressure washing related signs in the last month. 3. And one of those I just saw the other day. And then the other ones, like, the other 2 were sporadic. Like, that's weak. Your market, you should have signs everywhere. Like, Dave and I was talking, he went out to dinner a couple weeks ago, and like, he passed 5 signs on the way to dinner. And then coming home, he saw another 3 or 4 signs. He went a different way so he could see, and he saw another 3 or 4 signs. Like, that's what your market should look like. You should have signs everywhere. And if you're not, then you're not doing it right. And if you're not getting calls from government agencies telling you, don't put your signs out here, because they're the sign police. Like, you're not putting enough signs out. You're just not. Why should you put signs out? Well, I alluded to it earlier, but money. Money. So let's say your average ticket's $400, right? Let's say you close half of the people that contact you for a quote. Put out 50 signs a week. You should get low end 7, high end 10 inquiries, right? Let's say it's 7, and you get 3 jobs off of that. 3, average ticket 400, average ticket 300. That's $900. Times that by 4, 3,600. If I had 200 signs that I purchased and it cost me $1,000, I just made 3.5 times my money. And I just went on low end numbers. But let's take that up. Let's say you got an average ticket of 500, which is what it should be at a minimum, and you get 10 calls and you close 5 of those, right? All of a sudden you did 10 grand this month. 10 grand, right? That's why you should make money. Or that's why you should do signs, because of money. Yard signs, yard signs, yard signs, yard signs. Like, if you're not doing yard signs, then you should probably just go work for somebody. Because there is too much friggin' money to be made for you to not be doing yard signs. It just is. And you have to do them. All right. So let's talk about websites. Like, where should you get your website? What should it? Who should have a website? Like, where, when, why? Right. So if you're in business, you should have a website. Like, especially pressure washing, there are thousands of searches in your market every single month for exterior cleaning. I don't care where you're at. There are. So if you're on Google and your website is shitty, right? Even if you do everything necessary to rank, and I go to your website and I can't click on the phone number from my phone, because 65-ish% of all searches are done from this thing right here. So I go and I search pressure washing and I somehow come upon your website and I go to click on the phone number and it's not clickable, like, you lost that opportunity. You just did. So why would your phone number not be clickable? Well, it's not mobile. It's not optimized mobile first. So they're probably not using WordPress. If they aren't using WordPress and it is clickable, you're missing out on a lot of other SEO type issues, and you're paying to build this website that is not going to be worth the money that you paid. And at some point, if you want to scale and grow your business, then you're going to have to go to a WordPress website. So if you're in business, you should have a website. Where? You should buy one from someone who makes WordPress websites that are mobile first optimized and is going to provide the base on-page SEO services for that website. My buddy does websites. I'm going to have him design one. Take a look at my website. My buddy did my website. I go and I look at those and they're garbage. They're not mobile optimized. They're not WordPress. Like, I don't care what they look like. Those are the first 2 things that I look at. I don't care the colors. I don't care the template. Like, can I call you from your website? And is it mobile optimized? Like, if I pull it up on the phone, does it look like a website, or does it look like a 3-year-old tried to build it? Okay? Like, just because your buddy lost his job at Arby's making French fries doesn't mean that makes him a website designer. And a lot of guys in this industry fall into that trap because they're trying to save money. Saving money costs you more money in the long run. It's just like equipment. Like, we put so much time and effort into our equipment, we miss out on the things that are the most important to our business. And that's developing these footprints for marketing. Like, if you spend $5,000 on equipment, you should also be spending $5,000 on marketing. And I'm not talking about in a website. Like, a website should not cost you $5 grand, $3 grand, $2 grand, $1 grand. Like, you should be able to find a WordPress website and it be economical. I don't make websites just to make websites. Like, if somebody's our customer and we need to rebuild it, we do that. But I'm not a website designer. I'm not a website builder. That's not what we do. But we do build websites if it's necessary to improve SEO, to improve click-through, whatever it may be. We will do that. So don't message me and say, can you build me a website? You can become my client, and then we can. But just to build a website, no. When should you get a website? This goes back to the who. Like when you start your business, we got to get equipment. Well, you need a website. Like equipment, website. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Like if you don't have customers, why do you need equipment, right? And you have to build a pipeline of customers to be able to get to the point to where you have a business. Like without customers, it's a hobby. Without making money, it's a hobby. I told this to somebody yesterday. He was telling me about his business that he owned, and he was asking for my advice on some things. And I told him I said, you really don't have a business, you have a hobby. I know that kind of strong, and he was a little butthurt by it, but it was true. So you got to look at, do I have a business or do I have a hobby? Like just because you work at part-time doesn't mean it's not a business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how do you look at that investment? Like is it just something to make some beer money on the weekend, or is it something that is trying to get to a longer term goal? Like being part-time, there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean it's a hobby at all. Being full-time doesn't mean it's a business. Like how do you treat it? How are you treating it? A business should be its own living, breathing entity. It should be. Like you should be able to remove yourself and put somebody in that place, and that business keeps moving. Like that's what it should be. If it's not, then it's just an extension of you, and it's a hobby. It's the best way to look at if you have a business or not. Like, does it require you? Well, yeah, it requires me because I have to do the cleaning. Okay, but somebody else could do that cleaning, right? But yeah, it requires me because I have to do all the quotes. But somebody else could do those quotes, right? Right? So you have a business. So you have to treat it like its own living, breathing entity, because that's what it is. It's its own person. If you have a corporation, or if you have an S corp, an LLC, like the IRS looks at that as its own person. It has its own social security number. It's called a taxpayer ID. Like that's the way the IRS looks at it. So that's the way you should look at it. It should be its own person. And what are you doing to feed that person? What are you doing to make that person be as successful as it can be? Why should you have a website? Well, it's kind of like this. If you're in business to make money and you're expecting to get leads, the biggest source of leads possible out there is Google, period. Doesn't matter if it's from ads, from maps, from organic. That's the biggest possible source. That doesn't mean you're getting, that's not to say that's your biggest source. I'm saying that's the biggest possible source. That's where people who are sitting on their couch drinking a tequila tonight, maybe smoking a cigar, and they realize I need some pressure washing. They're going to hop on their phone and search for pressure washing to call you. Right? That's why you need a website. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, your website, after people that work for you, is the most important asset that you could own for your business. But we do not treat it like that. We don't. But if we did, it would pay off in the long run for us and make us a ton of money. Look at this as a PSA, public service announcement. Use yard signs. Be smart about how you design that yard sign. You put a bunch of, like if you diarrhea all over that sign, nobody's going to be able to see anything. Like, what can I see from 100 to 200 feet away? Should be service, phone number, two-sided, 18 by 24, and my website. I need to make sure that I have a WordPress website that has a clickable phone number that's mobile first optimized. I don't need to have my buddy who lost his job as a fry guy at Arby's make a website because he don't have a job and I want to give him $100. Like, it's not very smart. Do you treat your business as its own person, or is it a hobby? Hopefully you're treating it as its own person. Hopefully you're doing the things necessary to dominate your market and crush your competition. If you have questions, I left my number. Text me if you have more questions. You're not going to be able to reach me by phone, but you can text me on that number. If you do want to talk about like real stuff, click through to the Dominate Partners page. Phone number's on there. You can ring us up. If you need to buy signs, call my boy Dave at Doe Marketing, and he will hook you up with signs and anything else that you need to print, really. But I just want you guys to not mess this up. Use signs correctly, get a website, dominate your market. Let's dominate.